escape now to another place now, but with you 'cause I don't want to be alone. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy. Tell me if you want to follow me now, to follow me. Take me to your arms and never leave me. Don't leave me, boy.
Four French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're three wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, you can look and a drift to go out.
Ben Gregory now, I love this. 10.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head to head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Chaz Draycott Media, and welcome to another round of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. We're here for the 7th round of the campaign. No sprint racing this time. We're back to our usual format of a 1-hour endurance race, and my name is Chaz Draycott up here in the commentary box. Unfortunately, Ed May not with us this evening, but I'm told that he should be back for next time out, where we will be heading to Le Dénon in France. That's going to be in 2 weeks' time, though. We have iRacing Week 13 rain coming next week, and can you believe it, we are finally getting rain on the service. It's going to be mighty spicy to see what leagues and championships make use of that going forward, and I can tell you that we're certainly going to be playing with it at some point in future. However, we're here right now at Spa Francorchamps. This circuit, as you'll see in the YouTube description, demands respect. And I tell you what, the drivers here, they certainly don't respect this place that much. I mean, Jakub Szymanski, who unfortunately will be out for the rest of the season, he hates this place. And I can tell you, he's probably glad that he isn't here racing tonight. So this is how the championship looks after an absolutely thrilling round at, well, pair of rounds actually, at the Red Bull Ring last time out. Taylor Adams leads the championship by 2 points from Niels Kaur, with Dominic Brennan 10 points back in third, but then look how close it is behind. James Holman just ahead of Danny Lee, Kyle Ridley up there as well, 1 point ahead of Christopher Smith, and then a bunch of drivers on 60, 50 and 40 points respectively. Regenta Sim Racing lead the team's championship by just 12 points over RD Simsport. Then the Danny Lee Pro Simrig team have overtaken Efkan Berkier and Dominic Brennan as Spontex CDM Esports. But it's still mighty, mighty close, and we look forward to another great evening's racing here tonight. I'm very excited to see how everyone gets on. So right now, we have only a couple of cars out there on the circuit, Mike Horder being one of them. The drivers have just completed the driver's briefing, which is done by the boss man, Andy Marston. And it is time for practice. Not long left in said practice session anymore. I'm just going to give a quick update to something on the overlay, by the way, because there's a few changes afoot, so you may see it just flick on and off a couple of times while I'm doing this. But you can see here Mike Horder in the gorgeous Aston Martin. Lovely looking race car with its bright magenta highlights, or pink as you could say. Pink being the theme actually for a certain driver's evening, where Simon Povey returns to the championship. Simon has become a father for the third time very recently, and he wanted to run a special livery for the remainder of the season, and he has now gone from Spontex CDM Esports Gold to Spontex CDM Esports Pink. I just finished this the other day. Simon was out shopping and he found a Spontex product that had pink packaging on it, and he used that as leverage to basically make me do this livery. So he's going to be wearing that for tonight. It's also a welcome back as well to another fantastic driver who's great to have back in the series, Rob Sharp, who we can sort of half ride on board with, is sat in the pit lane at the moment, sure, but Rob is back with us for tonight and for the remainder of the season. A few months back he actually broke, I think, 5 ribs, he said, so he's been recovering since then, and he's back fighting fit now to be a part of the campaign. It's lovely to have Rob back. He's been a staple of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge since it begun, and we have truly missed having him out there. Here is the man currently fastest in practice though, Matt Slight. By 84 thousandths of a second, he is ahead of his Regenta Sim Racing teammate and championship leader, Taylor Adams. These boys were not messing about when they entered this championship. They did a great job in the Winter Tour, and I tell you, they are absolutely flying here once again as well. It's lovely to have it. Ben Chalcraft is wearing a Nacho Cheese Puffs livery tonight in the Seabrooks branded machine. Minardi Simsport flying the flag for the no, not the confectionery snack. Just the snacks in general for this season. Mike Murphy in his wonderful onion ring green and white livery is back again. Those guys had mixed results at the Red Bull Ring last time out, and we'll obviously be hoping for a little bit more from this round at Spa. Hope you're all having a wonderful, wonderful week so far, everybody. It's only Tuesday at the moment, but still hope it is going well for all of you. Hello to LOC in the chat asking what trouble we're up to today. No, I'm going to be a good boy, my friend. I'm going to be very good today. And Channy also in the chat saying, been looking forward to this. Also, good evening. Good evening, sunshine. So Regenta Sim Racing doing well at the moment. Niels Kaur is in the pit lane. Danny Lee is up there. Gary Tall is also up there in 5th place at the moment. Kyle Ridley is back with us after nearly taking a race win last time out. We spoke to Kyle actually at the Red Bull Ring, and he said he was absolutely loving it last time round. He certainly enjoyed himself in the sprint racing, and I think everybody did. I was kept incredibly busy up there in the commentary box, and I hope to have another great night of it here at Spa Francorchamps. Like I said, it's the 1 hour endurance race that we're doing this evening. The drivers have 40% of the usual fuel tank in these cars as a limit, so we should have 2 pit stops over the course of the evening. Drivers often play the strategy game in the early stage and then calculate it from there. So we may see people saving fuel and sitting behind one another in the opening stints. Hello to Jakub Szymanski as well, who says good evening at the worst track in the EU. Hello, mate. It's good to have Fausto Pinto back tonight as well, by the way. He's in a new livery in car number 23. It's almost like a digital camouflage version of Tic Tacs, but it looks absolutely awesome on Fausto's car. Efkan Berkier returns as well for Spontex CDM Esports in the updated livery. And we also have Andy Marston, the boss man, racing for Sim Racing Magazine Black in car 111, and his teammate in car 121 is Peter Brill. Those two 32nd and 33rd at the moment, but isn't it fantastic though, the fact that we still have so many drivers taking part? You know, we had, unfortunately, Ryan Walker has had to pull out of the championship. We don't have Ralph Mayer with us for a couple of rounds, but it's great to have Heinz back with us. They've had some family affairs, I believe, so they've sort of swapped over, and Ralph has gone down to South Africa, and Heinz is back in the UK and racing with us once again. But the guys are such great supporters of the championship. Can't help but love them, I tell you. They're brilliant guys as well. They're good laugh and really get involved. A big shout out as well, by the way, to the sponsors of the championship: Oris Digital, Crockery Direct, Derbyshire Holiday Homes, and Bespoke Shelters as well. Very grateful for all the support from all of our sponsors. And we hope that they enjoy watching and competing in and being a part of this great league and championship that we have. Dominic Brennan has, oh dearie me, just had a big drama here. Not quite sure what has gone on to Dom's Porsche. Oh, he's already got big damage anyway. He's already had an off somewhere along the way. Oh, up at Eau Rouge and Radion, the car's going to go very sideways and around it goes, and we're not going to get to see what happens. Oh, typical. The session finishes, and, well, it's time for everyone to get moving. You can see the mass exodus of the pit lane there. Look at this. I love this camera angle for this, actually. Get to see everybody piling out onto the circuit. I think even the scenic camera, even though it's blurry, you can sort of see all the dots making their way down the hill on the right-hand side there as everyone filters out one by one. I was hoping that the pit lane camera would sit on this one, but for some reason when the cars are closer to it, they tend to follow it. But we're underway for a 15-minute qualifying session here at Spa Francorchamps, and as always, it's the two Regenta Sim Racing McLarens that are out first. These two get away from the rest of the pack as quickly as possible, so they've got all the clear air in the world to help themselves to. Good evening to John Tusting in the chat. Great to see you, mate. Hope you're doing well. He says he loves this track. We've still got Martin Kenyon and Philip Hopley in the pit lane, but everybody else, all 31 of the rest of the cars, are all out on the circuit. Actually, those two are both now out on circuit. But the championship leader is going to be coming here full of confidence after last time. Nils Kaur had another very busy sprint race evening at Red Bull Ring. You can just see Toby Johns pulling over to the left-hand side of the circuit there. Fausto Pinto flashing his lights, maybe to say he can slot back in there. Well, Nils Kaur, who won 4 races in a row so far this season, will be another man full of confidence here. He won the second round at Road America from pole position, got a maximum score there, then he won at Daytona, then he won at Silverstone after a great strategy call, and then he won the first sprint race of the night at the Red Bull Ring. But here we go, here we actually get to see Rob Sharp's new livery in the Orboris Racing machine. It's a gorgeous looking car, this is, and Rob's livery gets better and better every single season. But my goodness, he's ditched the chrome by the look of it for this season, and he's gone with this matte black effect and the gorgeous highlights around the front of the car. My, that is a tasty looking racing machine, is it not? Gets better and better every season, Rob. We'll do Rob the honours, actually, as he's back with us. We'll ride on board with him and see what it's like for almost a lap here. We head down towards Blanchimont. Very scary, even in GT4 cars. Obviously, they're not as quick as GT3s, but as you can see, we're still doing way over 200 kilometres an hour through there. little bit of a lift and smoothly guide it round, and then into the mighty tight bus stop chicane. These cars don't always react brilliantly to this part of the circuit, especially the mid-engined of them. At the final corner and across the line, we're using the Grand Prix pits here at Spa. There's multiple configurations of it, but it only really affects the pit lane based on how long the pit lane is and where you can pit. Oh, dearie me, that was a Mark Johnson facing the wrong way there, I believe. I think Gilles Gardner has told us that he's missing a few rounds. So probably, no, it wasn't Gilles. It was definitely Mark Johnson that was facing the wrong way there, unfortunately. You can see Kyle Ridley just making his way past us there. No Stephen Burns tonight. Oh, no, Stephen is here. I do apologise. Stephen Burns is here. He's just on a different part of the circuit. We hadn't seen Stephen for a round or two, so it's good to have him back with us. Matt Slight has done a purple sector 2 at the moment, but only a few guys have completed that part of the track, so we'll wait and see what the times look like when they come through on the bottom. Don't forget, green sectors are their personal bests. Purple is an ultimate best out of everybody. And then white means that they haven't improved on their best sector in this session. It's actually Nils Kaur that's done a purple sector 2. Dean Powell's done a purple sector 3 and 5 on the outlap. So he's flying. It's good to see Drew Fletcher back tonight as well. He's one of the championship sponsors, Derbyshire Holiday Homes. Good friend of mine as well is Drew. We are magnetised towards each other, unfortunately for Drew, because of our interest in aviation. Look at Nils Kaur in that BMW, really guiding it round tidy towards Blanchimont. Taylor Adams has done a purple sector 4, but he's the first man through it, so it's kind of by default. But let's have a look. Regenta likes setting purple sectors. It matches the cars. Championship leader, the first man across the line to set a time. Let's see what he can do here. It is, for Taylor Adams, a 2:27.786. Really shows you how long a lap is here, actually. 2.5 minutes. It's always over 2 minutes in a GT3 car as well. Gary Tall has crossed the line in the Spontex CDM Esports unwashed Porsche. That's an updated livery as well for the remainder of the season. Nils Kaur has gone fastest though by 69 thousandths of a second. Nice. Taylor Adams down into third place behind Matt Slight. So actually Matt went quicker than him. I do apologise. I just looked at the times. Where's Mr. Povey? He's just put a time on the board, or has he? No, it doesn't count for Simon Povey. Ryan Penny goes up there. He goes into 14th position. Ben Chalcraft currently finds himself in 5th in the BMW. It's great to see the BMWs going well. What about James Holman? Where's he in that Mercedes? Currently 18th fastest. Got Kim Such about to cross the line in the Oris Racing green car. What does his lap time look like? It puts him 15th at the moment. It was a 2:30.07 for him. Philip Hopley next across the line in the Waterside Gym Esports car. Love the shade of blue on this car. Lovely mid-blue. Very tasty indeed. No time, though, from Philip that time around. I think it didn't count because of an off-track, potentially. Same with Simon Povey, and same with Christopher Smith, too. Chris in this glorious Beamer. Chris is another one that's been a real staple of the championship now for a couple of seasons. And the RD boys have always brought a great lineup to the championship. Look at the way that they run down this hill, though. It's beautiful, isn't it? Gliding this big old Beamer around the circuit. We have 21 cars with times on the board at the moment, and the two Danny Lee Pro Simrig cars are in the middle of the pack, 6th and 7th. This is Danny himself with Dean Powell, his teammate, a little bit further around the track. Danny is streaming his point of view as well tonight over on his own YouTube channel. He does that for every round. You can see actually here Dean Powell is hoping to catch up with the two Regenta cars in front, who are trying to help each other as they've headed to the pits, and Dean Powell says the same. So what they'll be doing here is going into the pit lane to get new tyres, but they won't be fueling the car up. They've basically used the first few laps to burn away the fuel, and they'll be taking advantage of the fact that they now will get new tyres on a lighter car. Paul Goffin goes 10th fastest. Drew Fletcher goes 13th. There's an improvement by Stephen Burns. He puts himself 19th at the moment out of those that have qualified. Danny Lee's just on a purple sector in the middle of there, and he's moved himself up into 4th ahead of Dominic Brennan, who also has just improved. John Barnes goes 7th fastest in the McLaren. James Holman has done a purple middle sector, but it's Simon Povey who goes fastest. Well, it was gold before, but it's gold for him at the moment in the pink Spontex CDM Esports car. And he goes quicker and quicker by 0.17 of a second. Mark Johnson's about to cross the line and put his first valid lap in. Ooh, a bit of a slide out the last corner. The Aston Martin not behaving itself. Keeps it tucked into the right-hand side. Straight line to the finish line. And Mark puts himself in 18th position. He does a 2:29.45. Most of the field under 2.5 minutes currently. We wait to see Philip Hopley come back around as well. He's going to give it another go. I think he's just lining up for another attempt, actually. Not quite sure that lap is going to count based on how he crossed the line. Doesn't look like it. Gary Toll is currently 9th, but he's the first driver next around a lap, actually, so there's a huge gap in the field. If we look at this, you can see, look, everybody's on one half of the circuit there. Again, just a reminder that for this evening I will still be flying solo here on the broadcast, so there may be a few moments of silence where I occasionally just have to stop and protect my voice and obviously have a drink as well. So I do apologise in advance for that. We certainly miss our Ed May, don't we? Top 10 mighty close at the moment though, considering the length of this lap. Only just under 1.2 seconds between the top 10. Whole field at the moment separated by about 7 seconds. Rob Sharp actually hasn't set a proper sort of representative time, let's say. He's 7.3 seconds off on his fast lap, but he did actually back off, didn't he? We saw him move over. There's Dennis Van Beelen in the BMW. Look at the way that these cars glide their way around the circuit. I love it. Rob ever so clean on the exit there. Up towards Blanchimont. You always forget how steep and uphill that is, actually. Through Blanchimont, lots of lock on there to try and avoid an incident point on the outside. And Dan in the chat saying good luck Chris and James at RD Simsport. Don't think they need the good luck, do they? They're very, very rapid, these boys. Currently James Holman 5th, Christopher Smith in 8th. Across the line goes Rob Sharp. It's going to be an improvement for Rob. That puts him up into 16th place for the time being, a 2:29.09 for Rob. Mark Johnson about to improve. So too is Andy Marston, the boss man. Oh, he's just gone into the pits, actually. Kim Such heads to the line instead. And what does he manage to do? Any improvement for Kim? No, 2:30.9 that time round. His best is a 2:30.07, so he was about 9 tenths off on that one compared to before. Peter Brill is crossing the line. He's got damage to the car, though. Doesn't look like that thing wants to behave itself. And his lap, unfortunately for him, does not count. That car is not going to feel good at all, though, for that lap. I'm surprised he hasn't come back in, but then again, you've got 3.5 minutes left, so not much time to get all the way back around the circuit again. Here's another BMW. Dennis Van Beelen, one of the prettiest spec maps I've ever seen on a sim racing car, this. The way that car shines in certain places and not in others with that amazing pattern on it. Just looks black from distance, like a matte black, but when you see it there, look in the sun, or if you just look at this left rear corner, you can see that some parts of the wrap are shinier than others. And it's just an excellent looking racing machine. Nils Kaur, of course, raced in it last time round and is now part of the satellite racing team, but Dennis waving the flag for the team this season. He's been another strong addition to the campaign as Dennis. He's currently 16th in the championship, but he's missed a couple of rounds so far as I know. He got no points at Road America after an incident at the start, and then he wasn't with us for round 4 either. Didn't have a particularly bad week last week though, got 21 points out of Red Bull Ring. So he's not having a particularly torrid time, that's safe to say. Paul Goffin is about to cross the line, everyone. Let's see what Paul does in terms of a lap time. 2:29.06, his best is a 2:28.8, so he's a few seconds off. Nils Kaur's got a purple middle sector. but no improvement there. 2:27.7 for him. So still close to pole position. Mike Horder improves, goes up to 9th place. Well done to Mike in the Aston. Danny Lee's done a purple middle sector. Is that enough to make up for the rest of the lap? It is not. Efkan Berkier goes up into 16th place. James Holman improves in a few sectors there, but again isn't enough to move all the way up. Kyle Ridley now goes 10th. He's improving as well. There's constant improvements everywhere here. Rob Sharp not doing a better lap that time round. Dennis Van Beelen finally gets one on the board and goes 22nd fastest. Taylor Adams, championship leader, has done a purple sector. His teammate's done a purple sector as well. Is it enough overall? No, it is not. Simon Povey improves in one sector there. That's not enough for him. Mark Johnson then moves up to 19th place. He takes a chunk of time off what he did before. Next up is Martin Kenyon. Still a minute and a half to go in this session here. Plenty can change in that time. No major improvement there for Martin. So next up across the line, we're going to actually go full circle there because it's going to be Paul Goffin again. He's got his teammate Drew Fletcher behind him on the circuit. We've had an off for Mike Horder. He's just kissed the wall there. And he decides to go back to the pits, and that is his session done with. Oh, a lovely bit of limmy bash, as we call it there, for Paul Goffin. Bouncing the car off the rev limiter. Very close here at Spa, though, between all these drivers. The gaps are somewhat exaggerated because of the length of the lap. But I think the pit stop strategies will be tightened up because of how long it is around here. You can't really get away with the extra lap quite as easily as you can at other circuits that are much shorter. But we're nearing the halfway point of the season, by the way, everybody. Once we complete this round, we are halfway through the championship. 12 race meetings, 15 races in total. We come back in 2 weeks' time for Le Dénant in France. And then we move on after that to Monza for round 10, and then Jerez for round 11. And then we go all the way over to Australia, and then 2 rounds in Japan to complete the season. When we go to Australia and we go to Phillip Island, we've got 2 races there, which is the next time we're doing sprint races. Qualifying is complete. The timer hits 0. And it sticks on 0 for some reason. Not quite sure what's gone on there. There's no further improvements by any of those guys that have just crossed the line. Brennan did 3 sectors, but no. 3 green sectors, I should say. James Holman's got a couple of green sectors up his sleeve, but no. He hasn't crossed the line. What about Kyle Ridley? Does he improve? No. Looks like Simon Povey is going to return in the best possible form to get that pole position here at Spa Francorchamps. Dennis Van Beelen crosses the line. He improves a lot, goes up into 15th place. Good stuff from him. John Barnes, well, he's got 3 green sectors at the moment, chasing down Mark Johnson. Is that too wide, though, out of the final corner? Let's see. He's actually kept it all the way over to the right-hand side. John Barnes goes from 12th up to 10th place, takes a few tenths off his time, and he'll be very, very happy with that one. But yeah, the session hasn't ticked past 15 minutes for some reason. I'm not quite sure what on earth is causing that, but I can tell you that the session is now over, and Simon Povey will take a championship point on his return to the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. And that'll be a very, very happy man behind the wheel of the McLaren. He said he might have been a little bit rusty, but no, not at all, it seems. We're just waiting now for the session to change over. Like I say, it should immediately tick over to the race, but for some reason the timer stays stuck on 14 minutes and 59 seconds. You could see it for yourselves that it was holding on, just having 1 second left. I'm going to refresh the overlay just to make sure. John Tusting saying that John Barnes and Mike Horder starting side by side on the 5th row of the grid, in before the boosted moment. Yeah, there's a running joke that Boosted are known for running into each other as teammates. But it should be a fun race. Simon Povey and Nils Kaur on the front row. That is spicy amongst itself. Then you've got Matt Slight and Taylor Adams, the team's championship leaders and the overall championship leader at the moment. James Holman and Danny Lee next up. They're not going to be taking any messing. And then you've got Don Brennan and Christopher Smith on row 4. Those guys have been fantastically consistent this season. So they're going to be out for major points as well, are they not? So we just wait now to see what's next up. We didn't have a look at Pete Thickett in that session, actually. Pete was out there in 19th place in the Scuderia Chicken House car. He's got this wonderful Tic Tac livery on it. It's like a retro homage livery to the old Tic Tac BMWs. There's a couple of cars still sat in the pit lane at the moment, which I think might be why the session is not completely ticking over. That's John Roberts. A bit further down we have Heinz Mayer. We also have Simon Povey sat there as well. Simon backs out. But like I've said, the session not ticking over yet for some reason. It does tend to sort of linger for a little bit because it's such a long lap here at Spa, but everybody was really close to finishing their laps. So we may just have to wait another couple of moments here. It's a lovely shot, that, isn't it? All the way down there. Thomas F in the chat saying, I hope all the drivers have fun. Good to see you, Thomas. Thank you again for your continued support of this championship. And there we go. Qualifying is finished. So we'll take a look at the grid, shall we? For round 7 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. It's the familiar sight with Simon Povey and Nils Kaur on the front row of the grid. Then we have Matt Slight and Taylor Adams on row 2 for Ridgenta Sim Racing. James Holman and Danny Lee next up on row 3. Don Brennan and Christopher Smith on row 4. Then it's Mike Horder and John Barnes. They are effectively teammates, but John Barnes a privateer for this league. Kyle Ridley and Gary Tall on row 6. Then it's Paul Goffin and Ben Chalcraft next up with Dennis Van Beelen and Dean Powell. He's starting down in 16th place. Efkan Berkier down in 17th. Rob Sharp down in 18th as well. Those guys have consistently been in and around the top 10 in times that we've had them before, so we'll have to see how they improve during the race. Pete Thickett next up in 19th, and Mark Johnson completes the top 20. We then have Mike Murphy and Drew Fletcher on the 11th row of the grid. I'm sure Mike will move forward from there. John Roberts and Ryan Penny on the 12th row of the grid. Then it's Stephen Burns and Heinz Mayer with Kim Such and Toby Johns on the 14th row. Philip Hopley and Martin Kenyon round out the top 30 with Fausto Pinto, Andrew Marston and Peter Brill rounding out our 33-car field here at Spa. Once again, very grateful to have such a wonderful continued turnout here in this championship. The whole community behind it, the support for it is just epic. And I know that so many of the drivers really do enjoy themselves racing in this series. As we all wait now for the moment where everyone gets going. Here's the Tic Tac machine, Pete Thickett in the Scuderia Chicken House BMW. Great looking race car with his retro livery. But obviously because it's chickens, it's egg instead of Tic Tac. Let us know what your predictions are then in the chat, everybody. What do you reckon to tonight? Which drivers are going to be the ones that succeed? Which are the drivers that are going to have a bit of a tough night of it? Simon Povey will start on pole position with Nils Kaur alongside him. I've said that many times before. And I'm excited to see what these two have got up their sleeves. It's all going to be about the strategy. This first stint is going to be very important. And round 7 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge is underway, and Simon has pulled a blinder. Simon has pulled an absolute blinder off the start. As soon as he got out that last corner, he went for it, and Nils Kaur has been swamped by the cars behind. James Holman has made a place. It also looks like Matt Slight has made a place. He's gone through into the middle as well. They're nearly 3 wide in the centre of the circuit there. It looks like Nils Kaur's been elbowed out slightly. Dennis Van Beelen's had a moment. He has to get to the inside. A little bit of contact there between Drew Fletcher and I think Stephen Burns in the BMW. Those guys all recover. Look at all the Jägermeister in the middle there. Heinz Mayer with his teammates in front of him. Let's go on board with Heinz as they go up the hill. Up Eau Rouge and Radion for the first time. Ryan Penny there chasing Toby Johns over the crest for the first time, and it doesn't look like there's any dramas here, but it's still Simon Povey at the front leading the way. The field fans out in the background. I think John Barnes has maybe got a slowdown penalty. He seems to be dropping down the order very quickly. Dean Powell in the middle there with Pete Thickett and Mike Murphy just in front of him. Yeah, John Barnes dropped all the way down into 21st place now. He is right amongst it. I keep meaning to save the camera on this McLaren. But every single week we just tend to go higher and higher. So let's go back down like that so we can see, shall we? That's the 3rd week in a row I've adjusted that camera now, everybody. Dominic Brennan's had a bit of a minute here. He was off the circuit for a moment, went very wide, and he's managed to recover. lap 1 here at round 7, and James Holman is up into 2nd place already, started 5th on the grid. And halfway around the first lap, he is showing everybody that he means business. Matt Slight is the one that's actually lost a few places there. I think he went a bit wide out of turn 1 and got a bit mixed up with a few others involved in the battle. He's got Dominic Brennan, then Christopher Smith behind him. Biggest mover in the field so far is Mike Murphy, who's gained 5 spots. He's up from 21st into 16th. He's got ahead of Dean Powell, Rob Sharp as well. Efkan Berkier has gained 3 places. Pete Thickett has gained 4. So there's been some awesome progress by some of these drivers already. There's a particularly lovely camera on the inside curb here at Blanchimont, which we will see over the course of the night. But Simon Povey in the Spontex CDM Esports pink car makes a demon getaway and starts to run away with this. Simon is really good here at Spa. We've seen fantastic performances from him before, and he will be pushing like mad to try and take advantage of that once again. So James Holman 2nd place at the moment, looking back with championship leader Taylor Adams behind him, and he has got 2nd place in the championship, Niels Kaur, following on from him. Kyle Ridley seems to be in the thick of things a bit further back as well. He's looking forward with a whole host of cars just on his nose. That's Christopher Smith in the BMW. Oh, there's been a drama further back, everybody. Mark Johnson, Martin Kenyon and Kim Such, I believe, have come to strife. We'll have a look at this. Mark into turn 1. Oh, he looped it there in qualifying earlier. Oh, and Kim Such has collected him. Oh, and then Fausto Pinto involved as well. I mean, Fausto hits him back in the right direction. But unfortunately for Kim, wasn't really much visibility to see Mark there. Whoa. Hopefully the car not too damaged for Kim and he's able to carry on without any major issues. Dominic Brennan here, 7th place. Matt Slight ahead of him. Matt's lost 3 places. He won't be too upset by that because he's still well inside the top 10. But he'll want to make up for that very quickly. Don't forget there's a few extra points available in these endurance races as well compared to the sprint races that we have. In the sprint races you get 20 points for a race victory, and then it's literally 19, 18, 17, 16 and so on per position. There's only 1 point difference per position. Here you get 25 points for a race victory, then 22 for 2nd place, and then you get 20 for 3rd, and then it's 18, 16 and then 15 points, and then 1 point I should say per position down from there. This is Danny Lee, currently in 5th place. He released a video just the other day talking about Acertec and their the sort of reconstructed pricing, and he displayed it all with toast and beans while making his lunch. It's very impressive. Made me very hungry, and everyone else in the Discord, but still. Great stuff by Danny. He's just chasing down the pack in front of him now, which is Niels Kaur, Taylor Adams and James Holman. And Ralph Mayer in the chat saying hello from South Africa. Hope you're well, Ralph. Lovely to see you, my friend. Hope all is well out there. Wishing you all the best. Looking forward to having you back on track at some point in the near future. You can see all your teammates in the background there, actually, Ralph. Look, they're all trying to mug Drew Fletcher at the moment. This is Ryan Penny and Drew Fletcher side by side. Drew's on the inside line. Ryan trying to get a cut back on him, but Drew holds on for the time being. Then we have Kim and Hines just behind. Flying formation for these guys. There's been a change of position further up. Any of the eagle-eyed of you would have just seen that Taylor Adams has got in front of James Holman. Taylor moves into 2nd position in the McLaren. 4 different manufacturers in the top 5. McLaren's now 1st and 2nd. Then we have Mercedes, BMW and Aston Martin. Don Brennan, the highest placed Porsche, in 7th. 40 degrees in South Africa. Goodness me. Rather you than me, sunshine. I love being hot. I'd rather be too hot than too cold, I always say. But my word, that is not good. That's a little bit extreme for me. 3 shots of Jaeger, absolutely. Not sure if you mean you or the 3 cars, to be fair. 3 shots of Jaeger might sort out any worry of it being too hot. I imagine James Holman will be hot under the collar right now, though, because he's got Niels Kaur all over the back of him. James, a multiple winner in this championship. Nils Court, multiple winner this season. James got his first podium of Season 4 at the Red Bull Ring, whereas Nils has got 4 race victories to his name in this championship so far. Only Taylor Adams and Simon Povey have won races except for Nils so far. Doesn't it just feel like the BMW towers over that Mercedes here? The Mercedes is not a small car, but the BMW makes it look so. He's not going for a move here, bad look of it is Nils. He wants to push James towards the back of Taylor Adams because he knows that in terms of the bigger picture here and maybe saving a bit of fuel and for the overall race, it's better for him to try and stay near Taylor where he can. Here's Dennis Van Beelen. A few cars back, we've got another BMW of Pete Thickett trying to get past Efkan Berkier. At the back of this, we've got Dean Powell. He wants to put pressure on them as well. Very consistent stream of cars at the moment here at Spa. Look at that. Very tidy. Unfortunately, Peter Brill seems to be out of the race. He's completed 2 laps and he has somehow ended up out of the race. Oh, he's had a little bit of an off there. Oh, and it's gone oversteered on the grass. And Peter has jumped out, unfortunately, and he has called it a day there. So we have 32 of our original 33 cars still running. But the SRM Black Driver having a bit of a tough season at the moment. Change of position just ahead as Danny Lee goes past Matt Slight. The Aston Martin moving ahead. Danny's really been wrangling this Aston Martin. I've watched a few of his streams back after the night has been done and he's been very exciting to keep an eye on. Here's Toby Johns and Drew Fletcher. Like I've said before, it's sort of like Master and Padawan at this moment in time because Drew got his friend Alex and Toby into the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 challenge and into the community. And now Drew gets to race against him. A bit further down the order, they're fighting for some of the final points positions. They just need a bit of a drama from some of the drivers ahead. Kim Such and Heinz Mayer just behind this. They're also in flying formation. Ryan Penny has had a bit of a moment somewhere and lost a couple of places. They make their way down what is known now as Double Gauche, no longer known as Pouhon. It will always be known as Pouhon in my eyes though. And still James Holman tries to cling on to this position ahead of Nils Court. You know that Nils isn't going to go for a move though. Look at the speed of them down here, 225 kilometers an hour. The BMW looks mighty tasty at the front, doesn't it? Better than the new one anyway. And look, Nils is backing out early there. He's lifting, he's doing a bit of coasting, saving fuel. This is perfect scenario for Nils. However, the gap that Simon Povey has at the front is not perfect scenario because it means that he can try and break away. This strategy worked for Nils at Silverstone when the whole lead group was one very close train. In this circumstance, it is not good. But look at all these cars so close together. There's a little bit of a gap back here from Dean Powell to John Barnes of 3.4 seconds. However, there's this humongous train of them all together. Look at this. If we go forward from Efkan as well, you can look at Gary Tall. He's right in the middle of it as well. They're all so consistently close to each other. It's lovely. Now the car doesn't just look mucky, it is mucky. This is the Spontex CDM Esports unwashed livery. Gary Tall in the slipstream here of Mike Horder, who has a little bit of damage on the left rear of that Aston Martin. I love that shot of them going through there. You can just see the following cars filtering through past the camera as they go now down towards Bruchet. Dean may be at the back of this train, but he's in a good opportunity, or he's in a good position, I should say, to take opportunity of what happens ahead of him. Speaking of what's happening ahead of you, though, Nils Court's going to be fed up of looking at the back of this Mercedes, isn't he? James Holman might want him to go past at some point as well to try and be the one to spearhead an attack and cling on to the back of Taylor Adams once again. It's good entertainment here from Spa so far, isn't it? Hope you're all enjoying the show, everybody. Chaz Draycott up here on broadcasting duties and commentary duties, flying solo once again tonight, but we look forward to having Ed May back with us in future rounds. Ed should be back with us after the mid-season break that we have in 2 weeks' time when we go to Le Denon. There's that camera angle, I love it. Absolutely love it. Down there on the curb, watching the cars fly through Blanchimont at over 200 kilometres an hour, over 120 miles an hour. And that is lap 5 in the books. And on to lap 6 we go for Simon Povey. He won the first race of the season, then he finished in second place, and then in round 3, after some contact at Daytona, he just bounced off the back of Nils Kohl's BMW actually. He was leading most of the race at Daytona, and then he finished in 4th position. Red Ken Racing, this is a quality league. Thank you very much, Red Ken. Much appreciated, my friend. It really is an amazing list of drivers, and to be fair, I like to think it's well presented as well. We all have the same windscreen banners on. That always makes it look nice and tidy. But also the quality of driving is just awesome. Everyone's so friendly and so closely matched. It's brilliant fun to watch. Nils Kohl and James Holman are finally swapping places. James Holman seems to relinquish that one quite easily and says to Nils, right, you go after that McLaren. Try and stay with him and it'll probably do us both a favour here. Not many Mercedes in the field this season. It's been one of the talking points really, because last season we had quite a few of them in the championship. I particularly remember, I think it was Guy Edwards and his teammate were using them very strongly in the winter tour as well. Down the hill they go towards Pouhon, but look at that, look at Nils Kohl's pace already, half a second ahead of James Holman. James was telling me earlier that he's been racing in the Renault Clio on iRacing and he's looking to drive those cars more. They are cracking bits of kit, to be fair. I've been commentating on them quite recently with the UGX Clio Cup here on Chaz Draycott Media. Only done a couple of their broadcasts, but even with smaller fields of cars, it is so much entertainment. And look at this lot here. Let's just go back a few cars actually to Pete Thickett. Look at these guys. All in such a close-knit group. Fantastic train of them. So this is Gary Tall leading Mike Horder, Dennis Van Beelen, Ben Chalcraft, F. Can Berkier, Pete Thickett, who we're looking at now, the green BMW in the centre of shot, and then Mike Murphy just behind. Dean Powell is only then 9/10 of a second off the back of that. But this is very, very close stuff. And any of these guys could change the order in this group and save fuel and work the strategy to their advantage, but most of them are BMWs here. We've got 4 Beamers in this group of 8 cars. Making a right old racket, aren't they? Rob Sharp and Stephen Burns, the 2 Scotsmen, are close together a bit further behind. The can't get my words out. Very big BMW and the tiny little Porsche. Rob did say he might be a little bit rusty tonight, but it's still, like I say, great to have him on the grid again. He's been a real staple of this championship since it started. He's currently in the final point scoring position in 20th place, so points on his return would always be a good thing, I'm sure. He'll be happy with that. I have to say a word here for Taylor Adams, the championship leader. He's having a very solid run. He got ahead of Nils Kohl and James Holman, and he has not looked back. He will be looking back a bit now, though, because Nils is looking challenging. Because if he finishes behind him there, he's going to lose another 2 points in terms of the championship. Still 44 minutes left in this race, so there's plenty of time. But you can see that the body language of that BMW says attack. There's been a bit of a blink in and out here for Pete Thickett. I think he's just had a hardware issue. The car is blinking a lot. Back in he goes, that's fine, it's all stabilised now. That is a real shame though for Pete Thickett. I don't want that to affect his race tenfold. Drew Fletcher and Toby Johns continuing their fight further down the Porsche, finally ahead of the McLaren. I painted that McLaren in the bespoke shelters livery for TAJ Racing. For Toby Johns. Toby's father Alex, one of the sponsors of the league. Shout out again to them, the wonderful people behind Oris Digital, Crockery Direct, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Bespoke Shelters for supporting our league and our championship. We love you all very much. Here's Mike Horder right in the thick of it again, trying to sit with Gary Tall. Jakub Szymanski campaigning for an extra balance of performance for Simon Povey with 20 kilos extra. It's quite remarkable. I mean, we don't want to blow too much smoke up Simon's backside, but it is incredible pace by this very funny man once again. It's very entertaining, is Simon. We always have a laugh. Very grateful that he runs in my team colours, to be fair. Very, very grateful for it. Like I say, he saw the packaging of a certain Spontex item with pink packaging on it, and that was it. I always used to see him in pink liveries in the Porsche Club of Great Britain. And John Barnes making a very noisy pit lane entrance. That seems really early to me. I'm not sure whether he's trying to pit early to get track advantage or track position maybe. We'll see. Here's Taylor Adams, still second. James Holman's actually a lot closer to the back of Niels Kaur now. He was about 0.8 of a second behind him earlier on. So he'll be pleased with the fact that he hasn't lost this pairing, because I think he would have been worried about that earlier with how sudden Niels' increase in pace was. Matt Slight pushing on in the Regenta car all over the back of Danny Lee's Aston Martin. Danny is really wrangling that thing all over the shop. You can just see the differences. Danny able to get a bit of a smoother run off the corner than Matt Slight, but with Aston Martin just, I don't know, it doesn't always look like it pitches in as well usually, but the McLaren seemingly quite understeery there. I'm wondering if Matt's pushed the tyres a bit too hard in this opening stage of the race. He was definitely struggling with it there, and now Dominic Brennan is all over the back of him, and Dom wants these championship points here. Dom currently third in the standings as well. He's got a good gap over the likes of James Holman, but he's 10 points off second in the championship, so Dom has got every reason to be a bit urgent about moving forward, because he'll be losing further points to the likes of Niels Kaur and Taylor Adams. Look towards Blanchimont they go once again, side by side here. Kim Such and Toby Johns. Oh, big shunt. Toby does the right thing and holds the brakes when the car spins, but well, Kim went for the inside line, and I don't think he left the room on the exit. Let's have a look here. I'll go to the chopper. He's gone beautifully around the outside. Lovely move that by Kim. Toby leaves in the room on the inside, and then they come together once, and Kim's car just gradually goes wide, unfortunately. I don't think he was particularly not leaving the room, but I think he just understeered a little bit wide, and yeah, the car is mighty broken. Oh, he's on the apex as well though. That's a little bit, you'd want to throw it out of the way really, rather than sitting on the apex of somewhere like Blanchimont. Christopher Smith and Dean Powell in the pits. Dean is trying to come through from a bit further down the order. He didn't have the best of qualifying sessions, so he'll definitely be hoping to pick up a few places through pit stop strategy, as we see Matt Slight making his way past Danny Lee. Big change to how things were before. Matt moves all the way over to the right hand side and says to Danny, no, I definitely want to sit in front. Oh, has to check up on the apex though. And now Dom Brennan is suddenly all over the back of these guys. Yeah, John Tosting making a great point that Barnes won't be losing much with that pit stop. Where on earth is Danny Lee going? Dominic Brennan finds a gap for that Porsche. Danny went really wide through Boucher. Now through Speaker's Corner. They're glued to each other, and this could help Matt Slight get away. I'll show you those that have made pit stops at the moment. Only a few drivers. Christopher Smith actually the highest placed of those that has pitted. And you can see Philip Hopley and Martin Kenyon between himself and Dean Powell at the moment. Simon Povey now leads by 2.5 seconds at the front of the order in car number 3. Previous champion of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge is Simon. He was the inaugural champion, and he's always been near the front of the order since then. Niels Kaur on the back now of Taylor Adams. He's going to do everything in his power, I think, to unsettle his championship rival. Absolutely scream their way through Blanchimont. I do love that camera angle. I'm going to try and implement that more at some other circuits on the calendar. James Holman looking very racy as well now. Still right in the picture. Then Matt Slight has got, I was going to say company, but Danny Lee and Dominic Brennan into the pit lane. There you go. Mike Horder also coming in the Aston Martin. Efkan Berkier joining him. So the Spontex CDM Esports Porsches both on the same sort of strategy there. You could just see Mike Murphy and Pete Thickett chasing Ben Chalcraft. Could say this is quite the tasty assortment of BMWs. And they've got Dennis Van Beelen just in front of them as well, so a quartet of Beamers. 2 Minardi SimSport cars currently running in 9th and 11th, with Pete Thickett stuck in the middle in the egg car for Scuderia Chicken House. Pete's been a great sport with all of his liveries as well throughout the events that we've had him in. Now closing up to the back of these guys. He's all over the back of Ben, actually, to be fair. Mike has to just sort of watch and wait and see what his teammate does at this stage, I guess. Down the hill they go again, and you can see that at certain parts of the circuit the gap begins to open up and then it closes up again. It's very, very strange how quickly it goes one way and then the other. We need to look forward because Niels Kaur is still all over the back of Taylor Adams. Taylor is giving these guys a bit of slipstream and chance to save fuel while also being under immense pressure from Niels. They're going to nearly make half an hour here by the look of it. I imagine we'll see Simon Povey and the guys in this lap. We'll at least see Simon Povey, and I'm sure, because he's been out front on his own using all of that tasty fuel up. I'm pretty sure it'll be the guys behind that then make me raise my eyebrows as no, they're all in. Niels Kaur in, James Holman in as well. Okay, next up Matt Slight, he's in, Kyle Ridley's in, Gary Tall, yep, he continues into the pit lane, Dennis Van Beelen, Ben Chalcraft, Pete Thickett and Mike Murphy. Everyone coming in, it's a pit party, ladies and gents. It's a ruddy loud one and all. Here they all go. Not quite sure what's happened to the focus there as Paul Goffin heads down the pit lane. Simon Povey is at the far end of it. You can see Paul Goffin's Porsche bouncing away. Where's Christopher Smith now? He's coming down the start-finish straight. And what car will he come out near? Because he's still got to go around the hairpin. There's a bunch of them all moving. Simon Povey comes out. Niels Kaur has jumped Taylor Adams. And the two of them have got a bit of a gap on James Holman as well. There is Holman. And look at that. Christopher Smith has pulled off a belter there. Dominic Brennan next up. Kyle Ridley and Danny Lee side by side. That is an absolute beauty, that is, by Christopher Smith. Oh, Mike Murphy has been caught out there. John Barnes has recovered well. He's gained a bunch of positions there. That strategy's worked for him. He's ahead of Efkan Berkier as well, but Niels Kaur is importantly in front of Taylor Adams. I think Taylor's going to jump back in front of him at the earliest opportunity. Simon Povey has lost about a second to these guys in that first stop, but he holds the race lead. The key talking point was going to be strategy tonight with how long a lap is here, but I'm not sure that it's going going to change too much. Here's Mike Horder side by side with Pete Thickett. The two of them nearly leaning on each other. Pete's a little bit wide in the second part of Les Combes. Horder still around the outside. Thickett down the inside, moves over to the right. Horder comes over to the right as well to defend, and then cuts across on the brakes. But then Pete's gone in too hot. Nearly hits the back of the Aston Martin. Has to slam on. John Barnes is just an innocent bystander in all of this. He's caught in this as well. Efkan Berkier, I can't believe I'm saying this, he's down in 17th place. These guys are all so quick, but the quality of this field is unbelievable this season. You never know who's going to be right up there in these races. That's what the beauty of this season has been. You know, the point system keeps it close, but also the fact that the field is so mighty competitive. John Barnes throws it up the inside of Pete Thickett, tries to make it to the apex. There's a tiny touch and Barnes is around. He's undone all of his work from earlier. Oh, John. Now he's got to do a bit of an Austin Powers turn. He's got, luckily, a gap in the traffic there so he can get out of the way. But John Barnes, well, he went down the inside, cuts over to the right. It's a lovely move. But he does understeer and just bounce off the side of the BMW. Just that tiny bit too hot. But I think it'd be unfair to say that Pete didn't give him room there, because he did. There was definitely a McLaren's width, but John really threw himself in there, unfortunately, and hopefully hasn't damaged Pete's car in the process, but I think Pete's alright. A tiny little dent in the front left of the car, but it's all good otherwise. Now Nils Cora's got away from Taylor Adams on this lap. That's an important talking point. He's now closing in on Simon Povey. And Simon will go from pink to some sort of shade of red if that continues, because he will get worried, because that big blue menacing BMW is certainly a rapid one. Look at that, Simon all the way over to the right hand side of the road to get rid of any possible opportunity for any slipstream from the guys behind. It's a little bit more spread out now than it was, as we reach almost halfway. Efkan Berkier is going to get an almighty run down the Kemmel Straight, or up the Kemmel Straight. It is uphill, actually. Mike Murphy moves over to the right on Pete Thickett. Tries to brake a bit later. Does put his nose down the inside. Efkan Berkier wants a bit of this as well. Can he make that work? Goes to the left-hand side of Mike Murphy. He's then going to be on the outside, and now Mike Murphy's down the inside of Pete Thickett. Three of them very close together, nearly contact there. Efkan had some sort of overlap on Mike Murphy, and the Minardi car goes through. Lovely move that by Mike Murphy, as Efkan just slides across the back of Pete Thickett's machine. That was great racing, though. The one that's really benefited from the pit stops is Ben Chalcraft, because he's away from those guys now. We saw him battling with them earlier. He's really benefited a lot from that. 12th place for him at the moment. There's, oh dearie me, John Barnes has had more dramas. John Barnes' race getting tougher and tougher here. Let's have a look what happened this time round. Oh, has he had a spin in front of him? Oh yeah, that was Drew Fletcher, Mark Johnson. I think Drew had a bit of a spin. Oh, Efkan Berkier is off. Efkan's had an off now. What on earth has happened here? Down the inside of Pete Thickett. Pete's going to be fed up with people trying that move on him. But again, just that little bit of a squeeze. But again, yeah, I don't know. That was more of a 6 or 1/2 a dozen the other for me. That Efkan did run a little bit wide, but there wasn't a whole lot of space for him to sort of run wide into. But it is a horrible corner to get right, so you can understand that Pete wanted to try and get the car in as soon as possible. Ryan Penny on the back of John Barnes now. He's got Heinz Mayer behind him, team boss at Oris Racing. John will be fired up after a couple of laps of difficult times. John's actually back into the pit lane and wondering what's gone on here. Maybe an incident point limit or something. If you get 20 incident points, you do get a drive-through penalty, so I think John has been in the wars a little bit too much for his own liking. But Nils Court pushing on to chase this man, Simon Povey. Simon last time did a 2:27.72. Nils Court did his personal best at 2:27.66. Also personal best for James Holman too. He's pushing on after Taylor Adams. Christopher Smith doing a great job in 5th at the minute. He's hoping to score some great points for the team in the Teams Championship as well. Let's not forget that RD Simsport are chasing Regenta Sim Racing, and Matt Slight is once again further down the order. What on earth has happened to Matt Slight? He does this. Matt tends to fall down under the order. Under the radar, I should say. It seemed like it happened when he was in the pits. I think he's just been sat in the pit lane. Yeah, he has, because he was actually stationary for over a minute. So I'm not sure if he sped on the way into the pit lane or something, but Matt Slight has lost a lot of places here, so this is perfect opportunity for RD Simsport to get back ahead of Regenta Sim Racing in the Teams Championship. Taylor Adams is going to have to fly the flag on his own for this one in terms of the points. Matt Slight in 26th place, so he could still, with the pace that he's got, gain a few more positions. Just into the bus stop chicane once more. A little bit further back because Danny Lee is starting to get close to the back of Dominic Brennan now. The Aston Martin chasing down the Porsche. Towards La Source they go. Very understated corner is La Source. Very, very difficult. Blind apex pretty much as well, so you can never quite see what you're turning in on. You've just got to aim for the wall. Sometimes because of the dip that's sort of halfway around the corner, you can find that the car grips up very quickly and fires you at said wall. Flying down the straight they go. Here's Dean Powell and Gary Tall. Another Spontex Porsche and another Danny Lee Pro Simrig Aston Martin. Spare a thought? Wow, I'm not that common. Spare a thought for Kyle Ridley, by the way, who is sort of in a bit of no man's land at the moment in the win it or bin it racing car. He's got the battle going on in front of him, but then 4 seconds back to the guys behind. He's still inside the top 10 though, so like I say, it's points, points, points. They mean prizes at the end of the day. We're now well into the second half of this race now. 26 minutes remain, and Simon Povey continues to lead here at Spa. He's actually opened up a gap over Nils Corr. He did a purple sector 4 last time round and was very close to his best lap of the race, whereas Nils Corr was a couple of tenths off him. They've been trading lap times though, because the lap before that Nils was faster. Simon is on a real mission here. He wanted to make a statement returning to the championship after a couple of rounds out. He missed Silverstone for round 4 and then missed the Red Bull Ring, where that was obviously 2 races worth of points as well in one night. Those sprint race nights are going to be mighty important for the championship, because that format can certainly shake things up, but also it's a lot of points to score in one evening. So if you're having a good night, it is a great way to throw yourself up the championship order, but if you have a particularly inconsistent evening, it can really halt your progress. Nils Corr has been very solid at the minute. Once he got ahead of Taylor Adams, he hasn't looked back now. It's the opposite of what Taylor did in the first stint, really. James Holman continuing the charge in this Mercedes. John Roberts in one of the other Mercedes. He's just inside the points. He's in 19th position ahead of Efkan Berkier. He's got a couple of seconds back to Efkan as well. Through Rouge and Radion again in the Mercedes. Love how they slowly build up the revs up the Kemmel straight. And then onto the brakes. Into Le Com. Through the right, through the left, then towards Malmedy. And down the hill towards Bruchet. Love the sound of this Mercedes, that brutal V8 engine. Shares a V8 with the Aston Martin Vantage, of course. But they have their slightly different notes about them, which iRacing has paid great attention to. And again, let's touch on the fact that next week, on this very day, we have iRacing Week 13. The major iRacing update comes out, new season. And we will be getting rain on iRacing after so long with their Tempest weather system, which could spice up a lot of championships and leagues in the future. Rob Sharp here on the back of Pete Thickett now. The Porsche chasing down the BMW. Mike Murphy has got ahead of Pete and actually cleared off a little bit. But like I said before, Pete is going to have been fed up of people throwing it down the inside of him into Piff Paff, this chicane. It's lovely to see Rob back up to pace though. It's not quite where we've seen him before in the field, but it's just lovely to have him back on the track. Like I say, in January he broke 5 ribs, bless him. So he's been recuperating and getting used to being back in the sim. And he sent me a message last week saying, I'm back, fighting fit, ready to go, let's do this. And unfortunately, with his injury healing, we had Jakub Szymanski, one of the Spontex CDM Esports driver, broke his leg, bless him. Wish you the best of recoveries, of course, Jakub. It's just a message saying you can fall asleep on the back straight. You might do, yeah, you might do. Hopefully not, though. But, yeah, best of luck with your recovery, Jakub. Hope all is well. Now look at this. Rob Sharp down the inside of Pete Thickett. Showing his nose, just filling the mirrors at the minute. Trying to put that pressure on us. Oh, he's cost himself a little bit of time there, actually. Pete gets a lovely run. As into the pits comes Efkan Berkier. 20 minutes left. Is this an early stop to try and get some track position? Or is this a drive-through penalty? This is an early stop for track position, I think, from Efkan. Dropped a few places after his incident earlier. And now he wants to try and make up for that with an early stop to be able to put some solid laps in without battling. So a quick recap then. Simon Povey leads the way. He's led the whole race so far. Nils Kaur in second position. Started there, dropped back a little bit, and now he's made his way back up. Taylor Adams, championship leader, is third. James Holman fourth. Christopher Smith behind him. Then Dominic Brennan and Danny Lee fighting for 6th and 7th. Then it's Kyle Ridley, a bit of no man's land for him. Dean Powell, one of the biggest movers in the field, by the way. He's gained 7 places. He's had a great run of it so far. I think he's the biggest mover in the field, actually. He's tied with Mike Murphy, who's also gained 7 places from outside of the top 20. Stephen Burns has also done that, and he's got himself up into 18th position. I think there's just been a bit of a moment for Heinz Meyer, who just seems to have lost a couple of moments. There's been Ryan Penny having a drama, actually. Whoa, big spin for Ryan, and oh my goodness me. Nearly clipped his teammate there. Matt Slight benefited from that. He's currently here in 23rd position, but nowhere near where he would want to be after scoring, or missing out on scoring some points at the Red Bull Ring. It's going to be important for Matt to try and jump back up there. I want to just have a look. No disrespect to Ryan Penny, but I want to have another look at this. If we just look how close he gets to his teammate here, or look how close his teammate gets. That is terrifyingly close between the two Oris Racing cars. That was his teammate Heinz Meyer as well, Oris Racing Yellow. They have a yellow and green team, not that they look any different, to be honest. And Jakub throwing shade in the chat at me. For anyone that doesn't know, a lot of people within iRacing, in and around the communities I've been in, tend to know that when I was once doing the Spa 24, a teammate of mine would not wake up for his shift at the end, and I'd done about 4 hours at that point. Looked down at my phone going down towards Pouhon to try and call him, and in the few seconds I did that, the car went onto the grass because it's not perfectly straight. I looked up, scared myself to death, and threw the car into the wall with about an hour left to go. Not really fond memories. Thanks, Jakub. Dennis Van Beelen here in front of Mike Horder, and Ben Chalcraft trying to take advantage as well. We look back from the Beamer at that beautiful Aston Martin and the very tasty livery of Boosted Motorsport. And you can see just how quickly Ben can close in actually on this. Oh, come on, give me the right camera, please. There we go. Ben actually compromises his run a little bit there. Down towards Brochet they go. This BMW does make quite the rattle, doesn't it? Sounds like it's going to fall apart at the nearest inconvenience, like an Alfa Romeo. We've got a couple of little battles going on here, just duos and duets all over the circuit. Taylor Adams is quite close with James Holman, although I look back at this, Christopher Smith has got Dominic Brennan and Danny Lee breathing down his neck now. These two have both caught up with him considerably. They got 8/10 on him on the previous lap, so I'm not quite sure what's happened to Chris's lap times here, but he's not having as clean a run of it as he was before. Pete Thickett has had some sort of drama, I think. Or has he been into the pits a little bit early? Yes, Pete Thickett has been into the pits early. I was going to say he's dropped a few places. He's fighting with Heinz Mayer now for 20th place. But if we look at the pit stops, you'll see there's a few drivers that have done 2 stops. Pete Thickett is one of them. He's actually the highest placed driver that has done 2 stops. Here's Pete. You'll find that pretty much everybody in the field will do 2 stops. We've only had a very tiny number of races in the past where people have been able to make it on a 1-stop strategy. Christopher Smith very famously did that with Callum Brandt at the Hungara Ring a couple of seasons ago. It was amazing. Dean Powell in the pits. Dean's had a great run of it. Last time out though, his pit stop was very short, so those 7 places that he's gained were mainly down to that, I think, because he was in the pits for a good 6 or 7 seconds less than everybody. It was 18 seconds his stop last time, so let's keep our eye on it now. It's currently going up through 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. I'll stop counting because I know it's annoying. 19 seconds, so what Dean's done is not really have a long pit stop and a short pit stop. He's calculated what both of them will be on average, and he's gone for a sort of set amount in the middle, which is not a bad shout at all, to be honest. So we'll see how that works. Oh no, Jakob, no chance. No one's doing a 1-stopper here at all. We were very aware of that before we got here. Toby John's in the pits as well for TAJ Racing, brings the McLaren to a stop for his pit stop. And looking back at this, Niels Kaur is now no longer in safe distance away from Taylor Adams or James Holman, you know. They're both within, well, 1.2 seconds cover these 3. And what's mighty interesting about this is that there are 3 different cars, 3 different teams. Nobody is winning the numbers game here between these guys. The only numbers game going on is the championship points, in which Taylor Adams is ahead of Niels Kaur. And if they finish where they are, they will be tied on points for the championship lead. Can you believe that? Can you believe that? After 7 rounds, they'd be tied on points. As Red Ken has just rightly pointed out in the chat, it's going to get spicy between Danny Lee and Dom. Let's not forget what happened at Road America, because Danny Lee put up a hell of an attack on the back of that Porsche and somehow didn't get through. Dom was amazing at defending at Road America, and I would pay to see that battle all over again. Luckily, you can go back and watch the race on Chaz Draycott Media here on YouTube. The championships have their own playlists, and you can go back and watch the run-throughs, of course, whenever you please. And I hope that some of you do, because I put a lot of effort into this. I run the championship with setting the decal layers up, doing all of the entries themselves, and doing the calendar, rulebook, all of it, all the graphics, all the broadcasts, and I love it. Absolutely love it. It's a great community, lovely bunch of people. Kyle Ridley is up on the jacks there, taking tyres. Intrigued to see whether that helps his pace at the end of this race. Niels Kaur has Taylor Adams very much in his slipstream right now. He has not got away from that McLaren, and he will not be happy about the fact that he's suddenly right up behind him again. Tell you who will be. That one. Simon Povey. 14 minutes left here at Spa. He's been pretty untouched at this moment in time, and the guys behind haven't had that much chance to save fuel, so he may be feeling a little bit more confident about the later stages of this race, because in the past we've seen that he has sort of led the race from the front, and then the guys behind have used the strategy to take advantage and beat you in the later stages. Sorry, I really couldn't think of a great way to explain that then. I couldn't get the words out, which is ironic for me because I never shut up. James Holman's in another good spot here though. He's not quite in fuel saving range, I wouldn't say. But he might be getting some benefit from this. So we're getting down to crunch time now with 13 minutes left. Another shout to our wonderful sponsors, Oris Digital, Crockery Direct, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Bespoke Shelters. Lovely to have you all on board, guys. And thank you to everyone that's been a viewer of this championship up to now as well. Thank you to all of you watching wherever you may be around the world. Get your comments in, any sort of ideas and predictions for this last stage of the race, the final quarter well underway now. Let us know what you reckon. Especially with these guys, and then the likes of Dominic Brennan and Danny Lee as well. Will these two have a battle much like we saw at Road America, where the Aston Martin begs its way to get past the Porsche? Into the pits they go. A lap earlier than some of the guys in front of them though. There's an art form to enter in the pits here as well. It's very tight, very twisty. Mike Horder has come into the pits as well in the background. I just see the pink Aston Martin pop up on shot anytime now. There he is. And through one another they go. We'll keep our eye on this actually, because this was really spicing up. And I'm excited to see how they leave the pits. Dom leaves a lot earlier than Danny. Wow. Dom was stationary for 14.9 seconds. Danny for 16.7. We do need to go further up again though, I'm afraid, because this is still going on between these three. You could throw a blanket over the three of them, as my favourite commentator would say. Charlie Cox often used that one during the British Touring Car Championship, and rightly so. They're going to hide behind the trees for a minute, which is lovely of them. We look forward from Taylor Adams, but that gap is bigger than that one if we look back, because there is James Holman. Very fast driver indeed, is James. Often comes to these races with very little practice actually. Due to work commitments, he barely gets time to practice before these races. And he's still savagely quick. Races legends in the real world. A championship I've been fortunate enough to commentate on in the UK Legends Championship. Amazing racing as well. You've really got to be switched on for that sort of racing. And James has shown us time and time again that he really is. Niels Kaur will be happy with the fact that James is putting that pressure on to the back of Taylor though, because it means he's got a bit more breathing room. The gap to Simon Povey in front has come down quite considerably though. They've been catching him a few tenths at a time, and on this lap they've really closed in. It was nearly 4 seconds earlier if I remember rightly. So we'll see what it's like when they leave the pits, because I'm sure that all of them will come in now. Yeah, Simon into the pits, Niels into the pits, Taylor and James both in as well. Gary Tall next up. He's having a bit of a quiet race so far, but it's going well at this present moment, is Gary. As he now makes his way in towards the final corner. And into the pit lane he goes as well. So everybody coming in. Let's have a look at those pit stops then. See who is the highest placed driver with 2 stops on the board, and it is this man, Dominic Brennan. He's going to be the first one to cross the line. Simon Povey is on his way out, and would you look at that. Niels Kaur right with him now. Nils has absolutely pulled a blinder yet again. 3 seconds less in the pits, and that is a sight that Simon will not be happy about. But we know that Nils has been oh so good at doing this all season long, and he's doing it again. And would you look in the background as well, because Taylor Adams has still got James Holman for company. They've got 10 seconds over the likes of Dominic Brennan and Christopher Smith. But wow, it is mighty tight at the front. And with only 9 minutes left, I think that Nils is going to sit behind Simon right until the end here, and then go for a move when he gets the chance. He can spend a lap or two here just getting used to what that McLaren's doing and where. Oh, they're both pushing like mad, though. I can tell you that when we were saying before it's going to get spicy between Dominic Brennan and Danny Lee, well, to be fair, there's 2 cars between them now. Kyle Ridley and Christopher Smith. Further back, Gary Toll has got Dennis Van Beelen all over the back of him. And then Ben Chalcraft. Mike Murphy's actually gained 9 places in this race now. Mike's having a whale of a time. Started 21st on the grid, up into 12th. Stephen Burns has gained 6 places, so too has Fausto Pinto. Started right at the back of the field, did Fausto. He's up to 25th position. But the battle is on for the lead, everybody, here at Spa Francorchamps in round 7 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge Season 4 here on Chaz Draycott Media. Hope you've been enjoying it so far. It's only going to get more and more spicy now between these pair. How many times have we seen the two of them battle together on track? How many times have we seen both of them take race victories in this championship and just leave us all in absolute awe of their pace? Look at the slipstream there. The BMW really strong up towards Blanchimont. It's got a lot of grunt. Simon will be unfazed by this big BMW behind him. You can hear Nils just backing off a little bit early here. He's so great at following closely, though, is Nils. Closely and fairly as well. He's a real close quarters driver. As we've got Kyle Ridley and Danny Lee getting a bit friendly. Danny throws it up the inside, shows his nose, tries to upset Kyle somewhat. We've seen him do that quite a lot before, actually, Danny. He's a very sort of... What is it? Like, I can't think now. He drives very mentally. He's always getting in the head of his opponents, and he's always just trying to sell them dummy, put his nose down the inside. We'll have to wait and see. Dan in the chat saying, will the McLaren's tyre wear be the deciding factor? It very well could be, especially with this one as well. Taylor Adams and James Holman. With Nils Core in second place and Taylor Adams third, if it finishes like this, they will be tied on points for the championship lead, though. At the halfway stage of the championship, nothing to separate them. Other than, I'd say, race wins, because they've both got 4 podiums each. They'd have 5 podiums each if it finishes like this. Nils Core with 4 race victories, though, and Taylor Adams with just 1. That shows where the consistency is with Taylor Adams. But he needs to hold on ahead of James Holman here. Otherwise, the main deciding point won't be the race victories. It'll be the actual points themselves. John Barnes is back in the pits, unfortunately, for what's going to be a 3rd visit. It looked like a really promising race for John, despite his early excursion. But this time, it's not quite worked out for him, which is a big shame. Look at that BMW so close to the back of Simon Povey. Makes the McLaren look really small, like I said earlier. Simon's going to be driving the wheels off that thing now, but Nils is so close to him. This is epic stuff. It's like one 8-wheeled amalgamation of McLaren and BMW. Look at that. This is for the race lead after nearly 55 minutes of racing. And some strategy calls from both these drivers. He's pushing him. He's actually giving him a little bit of a bump draft down towards or up towards Blanchimont. This is why we love this league so much, everybody. It is always good fun in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. That is the lead battle, just going through shot in the blink of an eye. A 10th.5 between them. Taylor Adams and James Holman right together as well. James knows that they're battling up in front and he wants to take this, and he's gone down the inside into the bus stop chicane. Taylor's going to try and fight it, but no. James Holman, fantastic move, gets it stopped beautifully. And through he goes. More battles going on here. Gary Toll and Dennis Van Beelen are right together. Kyle Ridley and Danny Lee are actually close together a bit further up as well. No changes here. And then look behind, the 2 Minardi Simsport cars. Ben Chalcraft and Mike Murphy with Dean Powell in there with them as well. But yeah, as Dan has said, that's how you get in the other guy's head, right on his rear. And he's going to sit in the slipstream up here now, is Nils. Lost a little bit of time in the first sector, but not too much to worry about. Taylor Adams now on the back of James Holman. Look at the run that Taylor's got. That's going to help James. If anything, you could hear James almost lift as he tries to slot in. Behind the McLaren. That was a little bit too sketchy for my liking. As James goes back in front. Oh my goodness me. I think James wanted to try and slot in behind him there, but Didn't quite know how long that Mercedes was. Whoa. Surprised the back of that Regenta McLaren's not brown. Simon running wide out of Speaker's corner that time. We should have just one lap left after this, because I'm pretty sure they've got at least a minute left on this lap. They're only halfway around it. Just look at that. I'm still blown away, and we all are. You know, both of these drivers, Simon's pace, just relentless. Nils Kor's ability to just remain so focused, so calm all the time, and put in these amazing strategy calls and put epic amounts of pressure on drivers. The two of them, just between them, they just have it all. And they have been the superstars of this campaign and this championship and this league and this community for so long now. And these battles, when we get them together like this, are just awesome. No disrespect to any other driver in the championship, by the way, because we have such an epic field of drivers by now. The way this league has developed and continued to improve. But these two just continue to remind us where that extra 1% is at the top of the game. And we should be now, everybody, coming on to what is going to be the final lap of round 7 of the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. It's Simon Povey and Nils Kor, like Anakin and Sebulba, down the long start-finish straight for the penultimate time. The next time they pass us will be the end of the race, and that'll be where we know who gets the championship points. Somewhere behind that Mercedes is a McLaren of Taylor Adams, the championship leader. Nils Kor could happily finish this race in second, by the way, and come away with the championship lead. So he might have that in his mind. He might not go for a move. But we've got battles everywhere. We've got Stephen Burns on the back of John Roberts here for 18th and 19th. We've also got Fausto Pinto and Mark Johnson together a little bit further back. They're in 23rd and 24th. Holman and Adams take 2. Down the Kemmel Straight, or up the Kemmel Straight. I'll get it right one day. James again trying to just edge over. Oh, you don't need to do it, boys. You don't need to do it, boys. You don't need to do it. Don't need to do it. It scares the life out of me. James Holman holds on. Can Simon hold on? That's going to be the next question. We know that Simon is very unfazed as a driver when it comes to pressure. But is Nils Kor that different? I'm glad you appreciated the Star Wars reference there, John. That was the first little picture, or like sort of insight to Star Wars I ever had as a kid, actually. I remember, I think we were in a Curry's or something looking at TVs, and they all had on the Anakin versus Sebulba pod race when they got to the final lap. That was literally when we started watching. That was the first thing I'd ever seen of Star Wars from memory. Anyway, that's by the by. There's much more exciting things going on right now. Simon Povey with Nils Kor all over the back of him. Nils is pushing like mad. You've got to think that there's going to be a move into the final corner from this BMW. And more likely the man behind the wheel. But Nils is absolutely throwing everything at this now, I'd say. He's going to focus on the run out of here, down towards Blanchimont, up towards Blanchimont. One day I'll get it right, whether we're going uphill or downhill. But here comes the slipstream from the Satellite Racing BMW up to the back of the Spontex CDM Esports Pink McLaren. I think Nils is going to sit where he is, you know. They're both so equal. Through Blanchimont they go. Nils has got a hell of a run. Can he go for glory? Can he go for the move? Simon Povey's going to cover the inside line. Nils Kor goes to the outside. He tries to go as late as he dares on the brakes because that will give him the inside for the second part of the chicane. He's overdone it that little bit, and out of the final corner, what a return to form that is. Simon Povey now 3 kids up and now second win up for the season. Great stuff. Povey wins at Spa. Nils Kor gets the championship lead. James Holman is third. Podium for him. Taylor Adams next up. Dominic Brennan is going to finish ahead of Christopher Smith. And then we've got this battle. Danny Lee and Kyle Ridley. 2 of the nicest guys in the paddock. Too nice for their own good. Giving each other loads of room. It's going to be a photo finish, is it? No, Danny Lee just gets the run. What about this rabble as well? Gary Tull's lost a bit of time. He's got Ben Chalcraft all over the back of him as well. The Seabrooks cars are ganging up on him, but it's Gary Tull 10th. Chalcraft 11th. Mike Murphy, the biggest mover in the field, in 12th. Dean Powell finishes 13th. And the rest of the field will filter through, but Simon Povey, welcome back. New livery and an amazing, amazing drive. Absolutely amazing. His daughter Max was born just a few weeks ago and he thought he'd be out for the season, but he messaged me saying I'm itching to get back in the saddle. He said, but the only condition is Spontex did a pink product a while ago. Can you do me a pink livery? It's worked out well for him, hasn't it? Goodness me. Great battling once again, though. And I tell you what, hats off to Niels Kor and Simon and all the drivers that we saw in that final lap there, because they all kept it so respectful. So respectful. Whew, I'm going to need another lie down after that one. We still have a few drivers completing the race. Fausto Pinto there just finishing ahead of Mark Johnson. Philip Hopley finishing in the background in 25th place. John Barnes, he had a real tough night, did John, bless him. He'll need a lie down after that one. Next up, Toby Johns. He's battling with Kim Such actually to the line. Kim tries to get a run. It's not going to work this time round, son. And then Martin Kenyon will be the final car to complete the race, and he'll get some airtime for the Spirit of Yorkshire Racing. 30 thousandths of a second between Simon Povey and Niels Kor at the flag. Incredible. Incredible. Well, what we're going to do, everyone, is have a look at the race results. Whew, there we go. Simon Povey wins. Although, I thought it said 30 thousandths, but 0.6 of a second. I thought it looked a bit strange. James Holman was in third place, with Taylor Adams just behind him. Loses the championship lead. James Holman gets himself another podium. Dominic Brennan with a 5th place. Again, under the radar, Dom, but 3rd in the championship still. Christopher Smith, great 6th place for him, and another solid run. Danny Lee in 7th, with Kyle Ridley in 8th. Dennis Van Beelen inside the top 10, ahead of Gary Tall, who finally gets some big points on the board. Gary's had a lot of technical issues and all sorts plaguing him so far this season. It's lovely to have him in the top 10. Genuinely, there's no bias from him being in my team or anything. It's genuinely, he's another staple of the championship. It's great to see that for him. Ben Chalcraft finishes in 11th after qualifying 14th, but Mike Murphy finishes in 12th after qualifying 21st. Great drive that by Mike, and he's our biggest mover in the field tonight. Dean Powell finishes 13th. He gains some places to move up as well. Mike Horder drops down a little bit into 14th place, with Pete Thickett moving up to 15th. Rob Sharp, on his return, finishes in 16th place. Welcome back to Rob as well. Lovely to have him in the paddock. And of course, we have Paul Goffin 17th. John Roberts gets some more points ahead of Stephen Burns, and Drew Fletcher will get the final championship point in that one. Next up was Heinz Mayer with Ryan Penny 22nd, Fausto Pinto 23rd, Mark Johnson next up in 24th place, then Philip Hopley 25th. John Barnes was classified 26th in the end ahead of Toby Johns and Kim Such, with Martin Kenyon the last car on the lead lap. Eventually it was Andy Marston in 30th, with Matt Slight again a retirement, Efkan Berkier as well, and Peter Brill retiring and classified in 33rd. Well, Spa never disappoints, everybody. It is always exciting here at Spa when we come here in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. I absolutely love this round of the championship every time we come here. And what we're going to do in just a sec is try and have a word with some drivers, but nobody is popping in by the look of it. Not quite sure why. Just going to try and head back a little bit to further in the race. There we go. And aha, lovely stuff. Just one of the guys I wanted to speak to. Niels Kor joins us in the chat. Nils, you must be relieved to have the championship lead after this round, but another great battle between you and Simon. That looked like a lot of fun.
Oh, it was incredible fun, especially because I didn't really expect it before the last pit stop. I mean, Simon was really gone at the start right away. He just caught me out again. I mean, he's just always making a good trick, just slowing down. So I'm just passing him and can't really see where he is, and then he just guns it, and this time it worked out again.
Yeah, indeed. It's always just about trying those tricks, isn't it, now, to get one up over on each other. You're both at such a high level that it comes down to just tiny details sometimes, doesn't it? It must be very confidence boosting, though.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, could have possibly even got it in the end there, but it just went a bit too deep. Although, I don't know if you noticed it, but I was literally right on his tail for the whole lap without a problem. But coming out of the bus stop, I just had no chance, and then turn 1 as well. I was like always 4/10 behind him.
Wow. And
at the end of Camel Straight, I was still 4/10 behind him, and I only gained it in the braking zones.
Well, it was certainly great to watch, though. It's always a lovely battle to have on track when you're with Simon, mate, and it's just awesome again. But, like I say, the main point is now you come away from this with the championship lead. It would have been tied on points if James Holman hadn't have overtaken Taylor Adams. That's how close it is. The first half of the season is now complete. How are you feeling about how it's going so far?
Yeah, considering the first round, it has been gone really well now. We forget about the second race last week. It's really fine now.
Well, it's been great to watch, Nils. Honestly, it's really, really impressive. And we, of course, hope that the second half of the season goes well for you as well. Is there anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Yeah, I just would like to give a shout out to you and SIM for hosting this. It's always great fun, and also watching the broadcast back.
It's great to have you, Nils. Absolute pleasure. Thank you very much for the kind words, and we look forward to seeing you in 2 weeks' time. Have a good week off.
You too.
There we go then. Nils Core, fantastic job by him tonight. Second place only to Simon Povey, but an epic battle all the same. We jump back to another podium finisher. James Holman joins me in the commentary box. James, you must be over the moon with that, because that looked like a real good fight with all the guys around you.
Yeah, I was very delighted with that one. Really pushed. I don't think I've ever pushed so hard, to be honest, in a 1 hour race, and just kept on the limit. I was on the limit absolutely everywhere. I was sliding everywhere. There was no, like, a little apart from when I was a bit behind, when I let them go in the first stint, and I was able to do a little bit of fuel saving, but I knew it wasn't going to be enough because I could see Niels was posting behind me. But it was just, apart from that last stint there with Taylor. The last stint and a half, with Taylor and Niels, was just absolutely pedal to the metal and just pushing everywhere. And yeah, the McLaren had some advantage out of turn 1 up the hill, and I was a bit nervous when I got past Taylor. I said to Chris, I said, I don't think I've got this, because I said he's just going to blow past me. But thankfully, a bit of side draft and the good old late braking, and I managed to hang on to it. So that was a great race for Taylor, and fair play to him, because I don't think we traded any paint, or if we did, it was very minor. So that was great clean racing.
And that's what it's all about, isn't it? You know, there's so many great drivers in this series, but there's no sort of ego that comes with it, is there? It's just awesome fun. And I mean, everybody now straight away in Discord is all saying about how much fun they've had with the battling and, you know, loving the racing, regardless of where they are in the order. It's a great highlight of all of this, isn't it? To come away with such a positive vibe.
It's such a great championship, you know. I joined obviously last season, and it's just been, everyone's just been so friendly. You know, we've had a great time. I've had a great time every time I've driven, pretty much. You know, there's obviously frustrating moments, but that's just down to me not getting either the best out of the car or me not driving well, or, you know. But apart from that, no, everyone in this championship is just they're A1, and yeah, we have a great. I look forward to my Tuesday night racing every week, and yeah, it's compliments to you as well for putting on such a great championship for us.
Well, thank you very much, James. It's my absolute pleasure. I love being a part of it because, you know, knowing the people in the community as well and how friendly everyone is, when you see them battling well and cleanly, you know that everyone's going to be enjoying themselves. So it just makes me enjoy myself even more. It's like second-hand enjoyment. It's very entertaining. Is there anyone you'd like to give a quick shout-out to, though, before we go?
Yeah, obviously you for putting on such a great show, and obviously I believe you're solo again tonight, so I hope we left you nearly as breathless as last week.
Almost.
And obviously my dear old mother, who's hopefully coming towards her end of her time in hospital. So
awesome.
Hopefully she'll be able to get home soon. So hello to her, and obviously thanks to my wife and my son for putting up with me disappearing at 7:30 on every Tuesday night.
Well, bless you, and obviously best wishes to your mum as well, James. Hope that she recovers very quickly and is back on her feet very soon. But thank you once again for joining us, mate. It's always a pleasure, and I will see you in 2 weeks' time. Have a good week off.
Cheers, mate. Thanks
Cheers.
very much.
James Holman there, one of our absolute front runners in the championship, and always great entertainment to watch. And another man that got a top 10 tonight, started 15th on the grid, but moved up into 9th place, Dennis Van Beelen. Dennis, you must be really pleased with that one tonight. Spa is not an easy circuit to tame, is it? Talk us through it.
It was not, especially with the McLarens and their top speed. It was pretty hard to keep up with them in the BMW, that's for sure.
Yeah, I was going to say, the Beamer's, it's not always been the top pick, but it's doing quite well this season, isn't it?
I mean, it's a really good car on the curbs, so it's always fun. For example, the section right after Camel Straight. That's really great to just hop the curbs from left to right. But yeah, on the straight, on the Camel Straight itself, the McLarens are just blitzing past pretty much. But the Beamer is really nice to drive. It's a great car.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's nice to see a lot more drivers picking it this season than last season. It's really become, it was a bit of a meme at one point, but now it's a real competitive
I
wagon.
watched season 3 and it was just Nils pretty much, and one other guy, I think.
Yeah, well, that's it. It's, he's made it popular now. He's a trendsetter, isn't he? That's the thing. But it's been lovely to see it come to such use. Season's now halfway through. Your first campaign with us here in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. What have you made of it so far?
It's amazing. The racing is really close. On lap 9, for example, I made a nice move, and we were both respectful, and we had the room to we gave the room to each other, and that has been the case for pretty much all the racing so far. So it's great. It's really great. Loads of fun.
Well, it's awesome to have you, Dennis, and honestly, great fun as well to see the Chicane Online racing car still out there as well. So we look forward to seeing how you get on in the second half of the season. Is there anyone that you'd like to give a quick thanks to while I've got you?
Well, definitely to the Chicane Online racing team and to Niels Core. Like we're not officially on a team, but we're still like on Discord all the time together, and we're sharing our brake bias, and he's definitely helping me a lot. So definitely to those guys.
Well, thank you very much, Dennis. Always a pleasure, and we'll see you in 2 weeks. Have a good week off, mate.
You too.
Cheers.
Thank you for the stream.
Thank you. Dennis Van Beelen. Great to get an interview with Dennis. Not spoken to him that often in the Discord, but again, another driver that's joined the ranks this season here in the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge and is absolutely loving it. He's having a fantastic time. Well, back to form goes Simon Povey with a race victory here at Spa Francorchamps, but as always, Niels Core took him right to the flag and made him work for that one. It's been another amazing evening, and that is the first half of our season complete. Just to recap, we'll be going to Circuit de la Dénan in France in 2 weeks' time on the 12th of March. That's going to be rounds 8 and 9 of the championship because that's a sprint race evening. We then head to Monza on the 19th of March, Jerez on the 26th. We then have another week off for the 2nd of April, and then we'll be back with 2 more sprint races from Phillip Island on the 9th of April. Then we head to Japan for the 2 season finale races, Twin Ring Motegi for a 1-hour endurance event, and then Suzuka International Racing Course for the end of the season. It's going to be a great way to round out the championship, but like I say, we're only just at the halfway point. Niels Core comes away at the halfway point as the championship leader, and he'll be very thankful of that. We're also thankful to our championship sponsors as well, of course, Oris Digital, Crockery Direct, Derbyshire Holiday Homes and Bespoke Shelters. And I think if I say the words "of course" any more times, I'm going to have to just cancel my entire career. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. It's been a pleasure as always. I've been Chaz Draycott here for the Sim Racing Magazine GT4 Challenge. Enjoy the rest of your evening, and we'll see you in 2 weeks' time. 4 French drivers at the French Grand Prix trying to win this on the final lap. They're 3 wide again. Guillaume down the inside. Guillaume moves across. They're both in front of Milan and Pouget.
But before you know it, we find ourselves here in the very final race of the competition.
And then they see truck racing and they think, this is crazy. You know, these are 5-ton machines, 1,200 horsepower brake.
Oh, look at that switchback. Oh, he's been moved and it's supposed to show off. I love this. 18.5 minutes gone. Senna Lanson tries to go for the race lead.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
This is a right banger, this, isn't it? Enjoy it, everybody. Thanks again for watching. We'll see you in 2 weeks.